Hello, I'm Dr. Terry James Gingrass, and this is Dr. G's ADHD Chat, the show trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. This is the 8th show or episode, however you want to look at it, in a series on executive functioning and compensatory strategies, which is a big mouthful, but basically what we're doing is we're talking about the executive functions, which are the functions that, if you want to think about it simply, it's the functions that an executive would have to take a project, be given a project by the company or his boss, and how to successfully manage that and finish it off with a successful launch. More scientifically, it's basically the functions that are controlled by the frontal lobes of the brain. That's the front part up here, right behind your eyes. And like I said, it includes all those things you need to do: working memory, time management, emotional regulation, organization, planning, impulsivity, inconsistencies. All of those things are controlled up here in the front part. That's the big boy of your brain. Has the most circulation, and is the most important in terms of what makes us people. The compensatory strategies are basically those things that people who have executive functioning problems can use to compensate for their for the way their brain's working, which doesn't quite fit what is needed in a typical classroom or a typical office. Okay, the ADHD, and to some extent, is like anything else you have. If you're 5'2" and you want to be a professional basketball player, you better work hard on your three-point shooting or you're not even going to get a whiff, and understand it'll be a fight and a struggle the whole way. If you've got ADHD, the first rule is to make sure that's what you've got. ADHD can look like a lot of other things. That's why you need a good evaluation. So for sure I have ADHD. It's not that I have a learning disability or any of these other fancy things that people are coming up with. Okay. And if you have ADHD, that's a neurologic condition. So you can't go around blaming yourself for being dumb or slow or any of those other things that I've heard kids call themselves. It's a neurologic condition. You want to blame somebody? Blame your parents, because you got it from them. It's genetically passed from one generation to the next. The heritability index is extraordinarily high. That's just the percentage of people that will normally show a specific genetic symptom. Anyway, so you've got a neurologic condition. Ideally, you have been evaluated formally, so for sure that's what you're dealing with. And the first line of treatment is still medication. And there's a lot of people who are really against the medications for ADHD, but in spite of horror stories, they're not the gateway drug to leading to use of hard narcotics or something like that. And matter of fact, the kids who are treated with medication are less likely to become substance abusers than kids who are not treated. So enough of that. But even with that, you still are going to have some executive functioning deficits that are you're going to have to learn how to work with them. And that's basically what compensatory strategies are. So I'm just going to summarize what we've talked about for the last 7 weeks or so. And, there are a number of major things that are consistent that you have to do no matter what the specific executive function is. And one of the first things is externalize the executive function. That is, if you have been trying to keep it in your head till you get it done, stop doing that. It doesn't work very well. Have a way, something that you use to write it down. If it's your iPhone or your daytimer or whatever, daytimer is one of those pen and pencil things. But write it down somewhere so you can check it in a minute from now when you have totally forgotten what it was you were asked to do. So you want to make a habit of doing that. Writing things down, having things that you post, like a Daisy. Anyway, there's a company in Canada that makes a checklist for morning routine and bedtime routine for kids. And basically, every time you do what you brush your teeth, you move the little marker to the completed part, and basically keeps the kids on track. Adults, hey, don't be too proud. If you're having troubles in those areas, get your own thing that you mark. Whether you use a grease pencil or click something in your iPad or your iPhone. You could be one of those people using the PC too. So anyway, your pad or the tablet or your phone, your cellular phone. That's there are so many situations where having it written down, make everything you can a checklist. Okay, a lot of what people do can be turned into a checklist. And if you do, a checklist is just the things you need to do to complete a task that are presented in order. First I have to do this, you could look at the bedtime routine. First I have to brush my teeth. Then I have to, put on my pajamas. Then I have to go to the bathroom. Whatever your routine is, but making it a checklist makes it more likely that you will get it done successfully. The same thing when you get a new project from the boss or do something new you need, write the darn thing down. And then figure out what the steps are and then put them in order. And you have a checklist. And then it's just a matter of following the checklist. Okay, that's sometimes is another issue, but you've got to, there's only so much you can do with compensatory strategies. Some part of it you're going to have to just say, man, I don't want to do this, but I got to, so I'm going to get it done. And then find ways to make it feel important to you. Think about it in a certain way in your mind so that it's not such a big deal to do it. A lot of people just fight and kick and stamp and, either visually in something you can actually see or they do it in their head, Talk yourself into, why is this important? Why do I want to get this done? Because I want to get a good grade and my mom will be happy, or because I want to impress the boss and maybe get that promotion. Something that makes it feel like a good thing to do. So obviously checklists. It's also important to have some kind of a planner, something with your schedule on it and that sort of thing. You can, I use both the phone and my daytimer. If you haven't heard of a daytimer is just a company that's been around for, I don't know, 100 years maybe. And they write, they have these little kits that are basically all, a different book for each month of the year. And you just write down, what's important for a specific date or what your routine is going to be or whatever you want to write down. And they've also got other things that you can do, plans and things, that sort of things. But the important stuff to remember is that writing things down is going to give you a little stronger memory kick than just putting it into your phone. Um, frankly, I mean, I use both, like I said, but I don't. The phone doesn't get my attention that often, unfortunately. I mean, I like I can set the alarms and those get my attention, but just if I just have it sitting there passively, and I probably will go right by it. So, but you've got to, that's the other thing, is you've got to find what works for you. Not everything that somebody has recommended is going to work for you. Okay. Like organization, for 40 years, have been using file cabinets. Write your note, put it in a folder that has the appropriate identifying data, put it alphabetically in the drawer, make sure it's on the file plan. That's the way we used to do it back in the old days. Nowadays, people are using their phones or their computers. Probably their computers more. You get Google Docs and Dropbox and all these things. The problem is that there's nothing there. There's nothing to remind you that it's there. I mean, you can have your whole world computerized, but if you don't know what's there, it might as well not be. So you have to have some kind of a reminder that, yeah, I know where it is, and it's always going to be there. That's a little tricky. Okay, that's for me, with my rudimentary computer skills, it's a long shot. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, so the other things you need to do that are besides having a day timer or and there are other planners that are not day timers, but that's just the one I use and I'm the most familiar with. Phone and or day timer, paper and pencil thing. Also, use timers, external timers. Stuff that you can look and watch the time go. Some of those egg timers, or they used to call them anyway, they're kitchen timers. Some of those are great. Get one that's totally ridiculous. They have a technique that basically they call it pomatero, I think it is, something anyway. It's Italian for tomato, because the most ridiculous timer they could get was one that looked like a tomato. Okay, but you want something that you can see how time is passing. Okay, the numbers change, 1, 2, all that, or some of them have a bar that grows as the time passes, and you've set it for, let's say, 45 minutes. And that's a good way to do things too. The Pomodoro method, is basically for any kind of work, is you work 45 to 50 minutes at a time. Then you take the 10 or 15 minutes in between and you do something else. You do push-ups, or you do breathing focus relaxation training, or you just go for a walk and think about the world and all that stuff. But 10 to 15 minutes, not 2 or 3 hours, and oh gee, I forgot. You have to have some, but that enables you to work more frequently or more efficiently throughout the day if you take these short breaks regularly scheduled. It just works. I mean, that's what more can I say? Exercise is not frequently mentioned in terms of organization or efficiency or that sort of thing, but exercise is great, especially you have ADHD. It's a neurologic condition. Exercise stimulates the dopamine that is your problem area. Dopamine and norepinephrine, For some reason, ADHDers don't have as much on board, or they're not manufacturing as much, or they're metabolizing a bunch out of, so they're in deficit a lot of times, and that's when they have the worst problems with their ADHD, is when their dopamine levels are way down. Exercise stimulates that, and so use that. And exercise is portable; you can take that with you. And when you're talking about organizing, okay, now I'm talking in general. In general, ADHDers don't do as well with what I call vertical organizing, which is the system I describe about myself, using file folders and file cabinets, and, A through C is in drawer one, and so on. ADHDers tend to be more what I call horizontal organizers. That is, any flat surface has got a pile of stuff on it. And woe be unto you if you unknowingly move stuff from your ADHDer's pile, because they will either attack you vigorously or collapse in tears. The idea is that ADHDers, well, it's probably the working memory thing, is that if they can't see it, it doesn't exist. It ceases, totally. It's gone. I don't know what it was. I think I had it, but so it's important for them to be able to see all their stuff. And one of the ways you can do it and still be reasonably organized is to use those clear plastic containers that you can get them at your office supply place. The theory is that it's clear plastic, they can see through it and know the stuff is there. And for those of us who like to be a little neater and stuff, it's all in one neat place, and you can even stack them up, and it's like a horizontal file cabinet. Okay, so don't forget that. And the other thing about ADHDers is that colors mean a lot more to them. The simplest thing to do is use file folders and have a different color. Like if your child's at school, different subjects have different colors. Red is math, blue is English. Whatever. However you want to do that, but just be consistent with it, so that everything that's about English is in the English folder. So that's another important thing, and one that we don't talk about a lot, because we are a left brain linear logical kind of society, and we don't think about using colors. Matter of fact, there's an amazing book out by a husband and wife team called Holderness. It's called ADHD is Amazing. It is the best design for a book I have ever seen. Each chapter is a different color border on it, and it's really well done. But it is an example of the kind of things that will help you stay focused with ADHD. So, colors, horizontal organization structure, and what you're going to have to do also is you're going to have to start planning. You have to set up a routine so that your day, if you're at work, you want to set it up so that you're doing the hard stuff first thing in the morning when you've got more energy, and not in the afternoon when you're starting to sag a little bit. So you want to use that time to when you've got the most energy to do the most difficult stuff. Okay, and that's an important one. The other thing is you need to set up a routine. You need to have, and it's not carved in granite or anything, but you need to have a work routine. You need to have the school environment. Well, the school kind of takes care of your routine there, but when you're at home, you need to have a routine. How are we doing homework? Every night we're going to do it the same way. every night, and we're gonna, so that way we don't have to argue about it. We know what's supposed to happen when. And if you're parenting an ADHD child, is the, get it down to a routine. Get it, routines are wonderful because you don't have to think about them. You just keep doing them. Like most of us prepare for bedtime the same way every night, and we don't even think about it. As you get a little older, you may forget that you've already done that step, but you're going to do it roughly the same routine. It's just the way our brain's wired. Routine becomes a habit. Habit is something you get done without even thinking about it. So those are some of the major things we need to talk about. There is a need to organize your environment so that you can get stuff done. I mean, there's not a good Lord, there's no association between being neat and tidy and being brilliant. If you've ever wondered about that, look for an old picture of either Einstein's office or Piaget's office. He was a Swiss child psychologist. Look at their offices. The pictures are, it's amazing. I didn't know you could stack paper that high off a desk. They got just tons and tons of stuff. The problem is that you can't be as efficient if there's a whole bunch of clutter. One of the big problems you have is you can't find stuff. You're used to having things in a certain place, whether you consciously have decided it or your hand just decided that this is where it's going. You have to pay attention to it, and you have to be able to get to it. Example, I have really cut my practice back, and with telehealth, I'm seeing as many patients or talking to as many patients at home as I am at my office. The problem is, at home, I don't have the room for 6 file cabinets like I did at work, and I don't have a place for everything and everything in its place. And like many psychologists, I'm a book nut. I have a lot of books, let's just put it that way. So they take up a lot of space, and it means that if I generate a file folder, I got no place to put it. I don't have room for tons of file cabinets. We just don't have that at the house. So you're going to have problems, or I have problems. I'm constantly trying to find stuff. Where did I put that? I know I had it the other day. Where is it? You need to find places for stuff and put them in that same place all the time. And that way you'll stay a little bit organized. And, you've got to figure out what style works for you. It could be the horizontal thing that I was talking about earlier, or the vertical stuff that's more traditional. Or if you're really good at computers, it may just be all in Dropbox or one of those. And one other thing, I did mention that on breaks, if you're using the Pomodoro technique and your 10-minute break, you want to do a little meditation. Understand, there are tons of meditation strategies out there in the world. Okay? I have a postdoc in behavioral medicine. I've done biofeedback and hypnosis and progressive muscle relaxation and all that. There are a ton of different ways of doing it. You have to figure out what way is going to work best for you. Okay? Nowadays, if you see somebody on the internet talking about meditation, odds are 9 out of 10 are going to be talking about breathing focus meditation. You know why? Because it's the easiest one to teach. Just breathe, and everybody can do that. But there are tons of them. They're like visualization scenes. There are people who tend to think of the world more visually than language-oriented people say. Or some people have to, feel it. They do something with things to really relax, So, if you're one of those guys who goes to the garage, say, and does woodworking or something, that helps relax to doing that. Me, it wouldn't relax, but some people it does. So you need to figure out what works best for you. If you're visual, there's a technique called visualization, which there are couple of techniques. For visualization is just imagine a scene in your mind that you find relaxing. It might be the ocean, might be in the mountains, might be beside a lake or a babbling brook, something like that. Those are your cues. Those are the things that are important to you, and you're going to be able to use those very easily to help yourself get relaxed. Just go through every sense you've got. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I feel on my skin? All those things, and just think about them in detail, and that helps you relax. Get calmed down, get focused, those sorts of things. Another visual thing that is not is a slightly different approach is just find an interesting symbol or picture on the wall and just focus on it and just stay focused on it. And your mind will wander, and then just bring it back and focus on the picture on the wall, or the design on the wall, whatever, and just keep doing it over and over. And eventually you'll start to feel yourself relaxing and calming down. Okay, those are just a couple of them, If you're one of those people who has to be doing something, progressive muscle relaxation is the one for you. Okay, that's where you just tense, tighter, let go. And you just go through about 17 different muscle groups, and by the end, you are calm. Okay? All right, I may talk some more about those, or present some more things about that particular stuff a little later on, but it's important to know that kind of thing, because that helps you calm down and be more efficient. That helps you stay calm and not let emotions build up till you explode and probably at an unfavorable time. Those kind of things are important, and you can learn to control them. Okay, so that's it for today. I am Dr. Terry James Gingras, and this has been Dr. G's ADHD Chat. This is a show trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. My website is terrygingrassphd.com, and there you will find some things I'm offering. I do coaching for ADHDers and parents of ADHD children. I do coaching for lots of different people. I've even have done some sports coaching. Anyway, so I do all of that, and you can sign up for what they're calling a discovery channel. That's basically a fancy way of saying we'll see if we can stand each other. Okay. All right. I will catch you next time. And okay. Sorry, Louie. That you need to start learning how to relax and control your time a little better. I'll be glad to talk to you more about it if you want to get in touch with me on my website. Bye now.